start.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Rohlupuii. I'm a PhD scholar under the supervision of Professor Kanagaraj.
This way.
Am I visible?
No,
And am I audible?
Sorry.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, yes. You unmute your mic.
Yes. So the topic of my research is religiosity and life satisfaction of older persons in Mizoram. And to start with, I'll briefly go through the concepts. When we say aging, it refers to the whole person who is aging and who has already aged. And that wholeness embraces the physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, and social dimensions of human growth and development. And the UN has agreed that the cutoff figure is 60 years and above for those to be called as an older person. And the older population keeps on increasing because if we look at the population census, in 1961 it was 5.6, and then it gradually grows, and in 2011 census, the older population has gone up to 8.6%. Jeffrey S. Ackman in 2003 has made a classification. He has classified the final stages of life into three categories, such as the young old, middle old, and old old. So the young old consists of those who are between the age of 60 to 69 years, and the middle old are those between the age of 70 to 79 years, and old old is 80 years and above. And I choose the word older person because that is the word that is most preferred by the UN. And the United Nations in 1990 has opted for this title to refer to those who are above the age of 60 years. There are several terms like elderly, senior citizen, old people, older person, and older person. The word older person the term is most preferred by the United Nations. So therefore, in my research, I'm using the term older persons to refer to those who are above the age of 60 years. So when we say older person, the term is more positive, and such as in the title, the International Day of Older Persons, like that. So it is essential to demonstrate that old age is not a defeat, but a victory, not a punishment, but a privilege. And gerontological social work. When we say gerontology, it's about the study of older person, and it examines the biological, the psychological, and sociological factors that is associated with old age and aging. And gerontological social work, the social gerontologists are responsible for educating, researching, and advancing for the broader cause of the older people. And professionals in this field work with older adults and the people around them so as to navigate through these difficult times because they have to make a lot of changes. So many transition happens in their life. They started with their retirement age and they have to cope with a lot of things. So in order to help them to navigate through these difficult times, it is important for social gerontologists, social workers who are working in the fields of gerontology to help the older people to make this transition a little bit easier for them. And so gerontological social work focuses on the biopsychosocial and spiritual needs of the older person. Now moving on to religion and religiosity. When we say religion, there are different types of definition that's being given by a lot of people, but here I'll be referring to the definition given by Ms Jennifer and Canada in 2008, wherein they defined it as an organized system of spiritual beliefs, values, and behaviors, which is shared by a community and is transmitted over time. And religion is about communal ties and practices that address the sacred. And when we say religiosity, people often also say it as religiousness. It's the same thing. And religiosity means the amount of importance that a person, the importance of religion in the life of a person. So, well-being. Well-being is the most commonly used in philosophy to describe what is non-instrumentally and is ultimately good for the person. There are two types of well-being: subjective well-being and objective well-being. When we say objective well-being, it is something that can be measured, so, some observable facts. But when we say subjective well-being, the subjective well-being measures the subjective measures of well-being captures the people's feelings of real experience in a direct way. So something that cannot be seen. Those are
print out of the report.
For subjective well-being. And life satisfaction. Firstly, it implies the personal contentment with life and positive self-regard for individual. And secondly, it includes a personal appraisal for fulfilling one's social roles and obligation. The social worker older person. As we all know, social work is a helping profession, and it focuses on the development of theory and empirical research that promotes practice and policies for personal well-being and social justice for older people, not only for older people, but it's in fact it's for older people. And social work profession, as we all know, is built on the foundation of religion. So the Council of Social Work Education in 2001 maintains that social workers need to be able to work with the clients and with the clients with understanding and without discrimination regarding religion and spiritual practices. So Kanda and Furman in 1999 explained that by considering the religious and spiritual facets of the client's life, we may identify strengths and resources that are important for coping, resilience, and optimal development. And also, I would like to, before I move on to an overview of literature, our social work profession is increasingly being recognized as environmental as well as internal resources, and bringing religion into social work practice came through acknowledgement that religion and spirituality were meaningful to some individuals, especially for older persons who are facing debilitating illness, loss of friends and families, and economic hardships. Now moving on to the overview of literature, there is a focused literature on various aspects of well-being of older persons in the global and the national context. And there are several studies that focuses on the challenges of older person in different social, cultural, and economic context. Some studies on the neglect and inadequate support from the family members, socio-economic problems of poverty is also a concern for some researchers, and healthcare challenges of older person were also focused by some researchers, and psychosocial challenges such as loneliness were also explored. And there are many studies exploring religion. There are many studies exploring religion as a coping mechanism during the later part of human life. And these studies report positive role of religion in the life of older persons, such as better health condition, and then some report the contribution of religion and emotional strength of older persons, and life satisfaction of older persons. So there are many studies that also focus on the life satisfaction of older persons. Some give more focus on the relationship between health and physical health and life satisfaction, and some focus on the variance and optimism and life satisfaction of older person. While some researchers focus on the relationship between socio-economic status and life satisfaction. With regards to religiosity and well-being, there are studies on relationship between religiosity and well-being of older person. Most of this research focuses on the physical and psychological health of older person. And there are also some studies that focus on relationship between religiosity and life satisfaction, and how religiosity gives a positive relation, has a positive relation to life satisfaction. Okay, religion and the pre-Christian Mizos. In the Mizos, the Mizo people are religious by nature. Even before the advent of Christianity, they are very religious. Uh, the Mizos, they believe in the power of the evil spirit known as the Rampai, who lived in hills and big trees and streams and caves, and all the troubles and ills of life were attributed to the evil spirit. They also believe in the existence of the good spirit called the Lassi, Pawang, and all that, but mostly they offer sacrifices to the evil spirit because they feel that they can cause illness or harm to them. Uh, so from this also we can see that even before the advent of Christianity, they are very religious people. And the Mizos also believe in life after death. So when they die, they believe that there is a supreme being who looks after them during lifetime and even after lifetime also. And they are very superstitious as well as religious, and they believe in all these supernatural beliefs also. And it's not possible. It's not possible to separate life from the social-political life and the religious life because everything is intertwined. And their ideal life was explicitly expressed in the religious concept. And the contribution made by religion for social solidarity was therefore basic and indispensable. So it is deeply intertwined with the social, political, and economic life of the Muslims. So, although even during those times, even in the olden days, the weapons, the house, and were given religious significance. So everything, the religion permeated it, the whole social, religious and political life of the Muslim. Even after the advent of Christianity, mm, the British pioneer missionaries came to Mizoram back in 1894. That was in 13 January. So two British pioneer missionaries came, J.H. Logan and F.W. Savage, and the Mizos quickly embraced Christianity after they had reached Mizoram. So, like I said, before the advent of Christianity, they
religious.
were
Even after the advent of Christianity, they were also very religious. So Christianity came in, and then within a few years,
churches came into existence and in the state of Mizoram, and the message of Christianity brought enlightenment, modernity, and audacity to the new believers, uh, enough to, thwart the deeply rooted belief in superstitions. And the Mizos are now predominantly Christians. Um, there are different types of denominations like the Presbyterian Church, the Baptist Church of Mizoram, the Seventh-day Adventist, Salvation Army, Roman Catholic, United Pentecostal Church. Those are the major. Apart from that, there are a lot of other denominations as well. And Presbyterian Church has the highest number of church membership. So the culture of the Mizo is influenced by religion. Let's say when there's a community activities, uh, everything starts with worship service, or in Mizo we call it crusade. So where we do Bible reading and prayer. So it can be business meetings or
is yeah, connected with
there is a gender difference in life satisfaction of older persons in Mizoram. And this second hypothesis, it draws inspiration from the study conducted by Demakakos, Noon and Nasrol in 2006, who found that declining life satisfaction and feeling of loneliness is more equally on both older men and older women. And the fourth hypothesis is that the religious participation is
positively related to the life satisfaction of older persons in Mizoram. The fourth hypothesis draws inspiration from the various studies. The studies conducted by Cross reported that there's a positive relationship between involvement with church friends and life satisfaction. Lim and Putnam in 2010 have conducted a study which revealed that religious people are more satisfied with their lives because they regularly attend religious services and build social networks in their congregation. And another study done by Park in 2012, he also found that greater religiosity is related to greater life satisfaction, and that social support partially explains the positive relationship between religiosity and life satisfaction. Now moving on to the methodology. The study is cross-sectional in nature and descriptive in design. The mixed method is used, as mentioned before. The mixed method is used for this research. We use both qualitative and quantitative, but quantitative is used more, and it is concurrent. So primary data is collected through pre-tested structured distribution. And the unit of the study is individual older persons above the age of 60 years. The study is a multi-stage, the study used a multi-stage sampling procedure to select districts, localities, and individual respondents. In the first stage, Aizawl has been selected purposefully because Aizawl has the highest population. If we look into population census 2011, more than 50% of the total population of Mizoram resides in Aizawl district. So, which obviously means that even overpopulation also, Mizoram district has the highest population. And in the second stage, stratified sampling has been applied. Rural and urban localities were drawn based on the socioeconomic indicators at the village level, 3 urban localities and 3 rural villages, which have socioeconomic development index value closer to the urban area average that were selected. In the third stage, the list of poll members of MUP, which is the Mizoram Upapol, a senior citizens association in Mizoram, we have used their list because almost all the older persons in Mizoram are a member of the MUP. So that is why we took a list of all the members of the MUP. And in the selected village and rural locality, urban localities, and each of the selected localities, from each of the selected localities, we have taken 30% each. So, rules of data collection. Structured interview schedule are constructed to obtain information from demographic details. And also use various dimensions of religiosity, such as religious belief, the religious values, participation in religious activities, religious behavior, and spiritual commitments. Those are included in the 5 dimensions of religiosity. And for to measure personal well-being, we have used personal well-being index scale, which is developed by personal well-being, international well-being group. And then to measure the life satisfaction, I have used satisfaction with life scale, which is developed by Peter in 1985. And case studies like informative interviews were effort to collect quantitative data. The quantitative data collected through field survey was processed with computer packages of MS Excel and SPSS package to analyze the qualitative data apart from the simple stratified measures like post-tabulation averages and percentage were also used. Peers and product correlation and t-tests were used to test the hypothesis. Um,
Qualitative.
Limitations of the study. The limitations of the study is that the study is conducted only in ISO district, so its finding will have a limited generality beyond ISO district. Here are the chapters too. Due to paucity of time, I'm not going to go into details, but if you have any question, you can ask me later. There's the present study is organized into seven chapters. Now moving on to the results in discussion. Demographic profile. Age group. Majority of the respondents, that is 52.8%, belong to the young old category. Like I said before, it's classified into three categories: young old, middle old, and old old. So young old are those between the age of 60 to 69 years. So they most of the like more than half of the respondents belong to the young old category, followed by the middle old category, which is 39.1%. And the old category constitutes the lowest percent, and it can also be seen from the table that there is a similar distribution among female respondents, and there's no gender difference. Marital status. The result shows that it is more important for male respondents to have a spouse as compared to female respondents, because many of the, I mean, some of the older male respondents have been married, but among the respondents, there might be some outside of the study who got remarried female older person, but within this research, all the respondents, all the female respondents are not remarried. So there is a gender difference in marital status. And then education status. The education level of male respondents is much higher as compared to female respondents. Female respondents, usually they dropped out after finishing their primary level. But as the education qualification goes up, the number of the percentage of female slowly decreases. So there is a lot of gender difference in the education process. Family structure. Types of family. The types of family is classified under three dimensions: nuclear family, joint family, and extended family. Majority of the respondents, both male and female, they belong to a nuclear family. And no, that is the male respondents. More male respondents belong to a nuclear family, but older female respondents are living in a joint family, majority of them. So this is mainly because majority of the male respondents are either married or remarried, but majority of the female respondents are widows, and they are being looked after by their children. So they're living in a joint family. And forms of family. Forms of family is classified under three categories: stable, broken, and reconstituted, or step-family. And most of the respondents belong to a stable family. There's no significant gender difference in the form of family. Size of the family. Size of the family of the respondents is divided into three groups: small, medium, and large. Small is 1 to 3 members. Medium is 4 to 6 family members, and large is above 7 members. So majority of the respondents belong to medium-sized family, and there's no gender difference in the size of the family. All respondents are Christians, like we said before, and majority of the respondents belong to Presbyterian denomination, even though the denomination may be diverse, whatever denomination they belong to, the religion plays an important role in the life of the person, no matter what denomination they belong to. So all of them are members of the church. All the respondents are members of the church, and there's a significant difference in terms of religious denomination. The social categories. An important determinant which affects the well-being of a person is the socioeconomic status. it can either contribute to or to the increase or decrease in their well-being, which in turn affects their life satisfaction. So the socioeconomic categories are divided into AAY, which is the uh, very poor category, and then the BPL, which is the below poverty line, which is the poor category, and the APL, above poverty line, which is the non-poor category. And there's no gender difference found in the socioeconomic status. The sources of income among the respondents who still have an income till date, their main source of income include income from their current work, income from their tenants, and the pensions they receive from the work which they used to take up before their retirement. And there is gender difference in all the subcategories. There is more number of male respondents who hold government jobs even before retirement as compared to female respondents. This is linked with the educational status also, because the male have higher educational status. As most of the female respondents dropped out of the primary school level, they had to either work, in the field, or take up or become a daily wager. They have to work. They have to keep on working to earn their livelihood even after they cross the age of 60. So there's significant gender difference in the source of income and the monthly income. Male the respondents have higher income as compared to the female uh, respondents. This is also due to higher education, better job, higher personal income, and household income. Uh, and when someone in the community does not have any income, or if they don't have anyone to look after them, that's where the church plays a very important role. The church supports those people who have financial hardships or who have problem with their health and who are not able to afford medical treatment. So the church members or the church used to give them financial support, and sometimes they also help them in kind as well. Source of religiosity. Some of the common respondents of or some of the common responses of the respondents include church, family, community, professional environment, personal prayers, devotion, gospel songs, reading Bible, gospel books and magazines, and there is gender difference in the perceived source of religiosity. But majority of them say that uh, the main source of their religiosity is through church, followed by family. Religiosity of older person. The religiosity scale we use is a self-constructed scale, and there are 5 dimensions: religious belief, religious values, participation in religious activities, religious behavior, and spiritual commitment. The reason why I create a new scale is because uh, instead of using the already existing scale, I use a new scale. I constructed a new scale because in a Mizo society, the frequency of conducting religious activities and church services is quite high as compared to other states, or even compared to the rest of the world. It's very different. The frequency is much, much higher. And from morning prayer service till evening church services, and even on weekdays, there's church services almost every night, except on Thursday and Friday. So the rest, there's a church service. So in order to take all that into account, there is no existing scale which actually fit that. So we have to uh, construct a new scale to measure all of these things. And high importance of religiosity in the daily lives of Bezos, that is something very different, which is not found in most parts of the world. This makes it very difficult to measure the religiosity of Bezos using the already existing scale, like I mentioned. And each dimension assesses a particular aspect of religiosity. And the religiosity scale, as a self-constructed scale, the reliability test was done using cron alpha and cut split half. and the scale is found to be very reliable. So, religiosity of the older person. This subsection, this examines the five dimensions of the religiosity, which I have mentioned just now. It attempts to find if there is a significant gender difference in each of the dimensions. So let's look into the dimensions one by one. Number one is the religious beliefs. So religious beliefs are the content of what someone believes, and it is a set of ideas or ideological commitments, firm opinions, acceptance, and trust towards any religion. The second one is religious value. Religious values are based on scriptures and are uh, are religions established norms. So both male and female respondents strongly agree that they are satisfied with their religion, and both male and female respondents have high religious values. There is no significant gender difference found in religious values of the respondents. With regards to the third dimension, which is participation in religious activities, we use a 4-point response scale. Uh, and the participation is not high among the older person. This is mainly because there's a decline in their physical mobility, there's a decline in their physical health. Even though they give a lot of importance to religiosity, it's not. See, there are different types of religious activities like gospel campings, outreach, and all that. Even though they give a lot of importance to all these things, even to go for a church service, many of them they give a lot of importance, but they're unable to do so because they have they they have physical health problems. So they find it difficult to move around, and they are not fit as compared to their younger years. But it's not the same for all the older person. Those who are physically fit, they from the case studies, from the key informant interviews, and also from this quantitative research, from the interview checking also, it is found that after reaching their retirement period, they have more leisure time, so they have more time to, those who are physically fit, they have more time to participate in religious activities. And church programs such as listening to sermons, singing hymns, all these things give them peace and decreases their loneliness. So the findings shows no significant gender difference in terms of religious participation. The fourth dimension is religious behavior. There's no gender difference, and the respondents frequently engage themselves in religious behaviors such as private devotion, reading Holy Bible, scriptures, and other religious books, articles, watching religious programs on the television, listening to religious programs on the radio, conducting family prayers. Many of them have developed problems with eyesight. So even though they want to read Bible or read all these gospel books and articles, many of them are unable to do so. And then moving on to the last dimension, which is the spiritual commitment. The spiritual commitment of the respondents is high. Majority of the respondents agree that without religion, their life will have no meaning. And the spiritual commitment is high for both older men and women. There's no gender difference. Now moving on to the life satisfaction of older persons. Life satisfaction of a person may be derived from various sources. It depends from person to person. So some of the most common source of life satisfaction include religion, family, personal achievements, and sense of belongingness in a community or society. And the respondents were allowed to give multiple answers. So they were asked how their life satisfaction is derived, and they can opt for more than one answer. So majority of the respondents feel that religion was the main cause of their life satisfaction. Many of the older men and women reported that they have been facing many problems and issues in their life, and they use religion to cope with all these hardships. They also reported that if life satisfaction have to be measured in terms of socio-economic condition, their life satisfaction would have been very low. But but only because of religion, they're able to say that their life satisfied. They're satisfied with their life. So through religion, they learn how to be contented. They learn how to be satisfied with their life, and they learn to embrace all the
This is
hardships
a major
that they
factor.
face
You
in their
cannot
life.
decide
So the
anything
belief in
just
life
because
after
you
that,
know
and knowing that this
wrong.
world is temporary and they can't take all these things to their heavenly abode, this gives them a life satisfaction and learn how to be, contented and happy in spite of all the hardships that they face in life.
This is a major factor.
So the table clearly shows that older men and women, for older men and women, religion plays a very important role. Yeah, in Mizoram. And okay, gender and life satisfaction. No significant gender difference is found in terms of life satisfaction. In terms of satisfaction with life, which is measured using satisfaction with life scale, and then personal well-being is also measured using personal well-being index. The finding contradicts with the early study conducted by in 2004, which found that the satisfaction of one's life is higher than older men as compared to older women. Profile, profile life satisfaction. Respondents profile life satisfaction and personal well-being. Uh, this table presents the interrelationship between the profile of the respondents, the life satisfaction of the respondents, and the personal well-being of the respondents. So the table highlights that age has no significant relationship with life satisfaction and has a negative relationship with personal well-being. This means that the age of when the age of the person increases, the well-being decreases. Educational status has a positive relationship with life satisfaction and personal well-being. This shows that the higher the education, the higher the satisfaction with life and personal well-being of the person. This is mainly because good educational status often lands them to good jobs, good salary, which contributes to their life satisfaction when you measure it in terms of, well-being. So when we talk about well-being, we can measure it with objective well-being. And then this means higher the socio-economic status, higher the satisfaction of life and personal well-being of the older person. This holds true especially for in terms of personal well-being, mainly because with the increasing age, the physical health declines, and many older persons require proper medical treatment. So when they have more income, they can afford to get a medical treatment. And those who do not have income, or those who have a very low income, they do not have enough money to get medical treatment, especially those who are living in a village area. They have to travel all the way to the city to get proper medical treatment. So they don't have enough money to do all this. So when they don't have it, their physical health declines. And then they have to suffer in silence also because they don't want to be a burden for the family. The whole family, the most of the family in the village, their economic conditions are not good. So they don't want to be a burden for the family. And the size of the family has a negative relationship, which means that when the size of the family increases, there is a decline in personal well-being. The increase in family means increase in household expenditures. That's why. So especially for those who are living below the poverty line, it creates more financial problem for the whole household. This in turn affects the personal well-being of the older person, as it is difficult for them to, for the members to provide them with good nutrition, and then most importantly, to meet health requirements like regular medical checkups, and even to buy, prescriptions also. So monthly personal income has no significant relationship with satisfaction with life or personal well-being. However, the monthly household income has positive relations with satisfaction with life and personal well-being, which means that higher the monthly household income, higher is the satisfaction and personal well-being. Religiosity, life satisfaction, and personal well-being. It is divided into two sections: religiosity and life satisfaction, and religiosity and well-being. So participation in religious activities such as church attendance and participating in church-related activities play an important role in the contribution of the life satisfaction of a person. It is important to note that other dimensions of religiosity are also very important in the life of a person. Just because it does not show positive relationship with life satisfaction, it does not mean that the respondents do not value these dimensions. In fact, the level of religious belief, religious values, religious behavior, spiritual commitment, it's quite high. The main reason why there is no significant relationship in life satisfaction is that the word life satisfaction to Mizos, they kind of interpret it as something which is temporary, which is worldly. So something which they cannot enjoy during this lifetime. I mean, or something that they can enjoy only during this lifetime and not beyond. So therefore, the respondents felt that among the 5 dimensions, only participation in religious activities contribute to the temporary satisfaction during their lifetime. And as Christians, the respondents give more importance to life beyond this lifetime, the life after death, also known as the afterlife, where they will go to heaven and enjoy the presence of God and loved ones for eternity, and there will be no death or sufferings. So religious belief, religious values, religious behavior, spiritual commitments are viewed as important contributors to help them to reach the heavenly abode. And having said that, it does not mean older persons do not want life satisfaction during this lifetime. They use religion and religiosity to cope with all the hardships that they face during this lifetime. And participation in religious activities give them peace, and then it also decreases their loneliness. So this increases their well-being and thus contributes to the life satisfaction. And religiosity and personal well-being.
Two scales.
Religious values, spiritual commitment, and religious beliefs are important dimensions of religiosity. However, these 3 dimensions do not contribute directly to the personal well-being by default. As mentioned above, personal life satisfaction, personal well-being are interpreted by the respondents as something worldly, something which is temporary, which will only last for only this lifetime. And in order to attain personal well-being, participation in religious activities play an important role as compared to other dimensions. And when a person actually participates in religious activities, it derives contentment, a sense of meaning in life, and decreased loneliness for older persons. Especially in terms of participation in religious activities, it helps older person to socialize with other people, which gives them a sense of belongingness in the church. And religious behavior, especially conducting family prayers at home, also creates better relationship among the family members, which in turn contributes to their well-being as well. When looking at the relationship between life satisfaction and personal well-being, it can be seen that satisfaction with life has positive relationship with personal well-being and vice versa. So the 2 scales complement each other. The personal well-being index also focuses on satisfaction with life as a whole. This shows that personal well-being contributes to the life satisfaction of older persons. And case studies are conducted to understand the current condition of the older person from the life story and the lived experiences they share. And the following, the case studies which we have collected highlighted some of the major challenges faced by older persons and how they deal with those challenges. Then altogether, 12 case studies have been conducted. That is 6 in the rural areas and 6 in urban. I have mentioned before that we have selected 3 rural villages and 3 urban localities. So 2 each from each of the localities, 2 case studies each have been conducted. And from the 12 case studies, it can be seen that there's a decline in the physical health of the older person, especially for those living in the rural areas. The availability of medical facilities is really poor. So none of the selected rural areas have hospitals or primary health center, and they have to go to the village they have to go to other village, or they have to travel all the way to the city to get proper medical treatment. However, the financial status is not good. So many of them cannot afford to get proper medical treatment, like I have mentioned before. And low economic status is often the reason why they can't do all that, get proper nutrition or go for medical checkups. And then as the living condition is found to be low, older men and women try to be as helpful as they can be at home by doing chores, by babysitting, engaging themselves in piggery and poultry. And then older person also give high importance to religion and religiosity, even though they have faced and are still facing many hardships in life, including financial issues and health problems. Their religion and religiosity has helped them to cope with these hardships. So their religion in many ways contributes to their life satisfaction. And key informant interviews. 12 key informant interviews are conducted.
Next slide. You tell the points only. Okay.
Yeah. So from the key informant interviews, it can be seen that old age is a biological fact, and there's significant ongoing loss, incapacities, and decline in functional ability, which is a very common stressor for older men and women. They experience reduced mobility, chronic pain, frailty, and other health problems, which often also affect their mental health as well. And sometimes lead to depression and other related problems. So health is not only the problem faced by other older person, but that is the main that has been highlighted in the key informant interviews. Another common problem faced is the decrease in income. So once they retire from their work, there's a decrease in income in both the rural and urban areas. So especially for daily wagers, they do not have any pension to receive. So they experience total loss of income. And when a person reaches a retirement age, they have to make a lot of adjustments in their lives. And in many families, this often results in loss of decision-making power and in the household, as they are not the breadwinner anymore. And therefore, it is important for them to learn how to cope with all these situations. And many older men and women develop feeling of loneliness. And for this, the MUP, the Mizoram Upapol, which is the Senior Citizens Association in Mizoram, it plays a very important role for them, because they enjoy playing recreational activities with their fellow older people. So most of all, the ability to contribute to the welfare and development in their community through the works of the MOP and sharing their knowledge and lived experiences give them a sense of belongingness in the community, and they feel valued as well. And most importantly, the key informants, all of them mentioned that religion plays a very important role in the lives of older person, as it gives them hope and the ability to cope with the hardships they face in life. This in turn contributes to their life satisfaction. So now to conclude with, no significant gender difference is found in religiosity, life satisfaction, and well-being of older persons in Mizoram. Gender difference, there's gender difference in education, educational status, occupational status, and monthly income. Religion and religiosity plays a very important role in the lives of older person, and higher participation in religiosity has positive effect on the life satisfaction and well-being of older person. So with regards to the hypothesis, the results of the statistical analysis of this study rejects the first hypothesis that there's gender difference in the religiosity of older person in Mizoram. It also rejects the second hypothesis, which says that there's a gender difference in the life satisfaction of older persons. And the result also rejects the third hypothesis. The religious behavior is positively related to to the life satisfaction of older person in Mizoram. However, the fourth hypothesis is validated. The fourth hypothesis states that the religious participation is positively related to the life satisfaction of older persons in Mizoram. Suggestions. Okay, I'm just about to finish. I'll quickly run through the suggestions. I have made some few suggestions in accordance with the findings of the study. So research on older person in Mizoram is inadequate. More research needs to be conducted on various aspects of older person, and professional social workers working with older person in communities must acknowledge and give due emphasis on the role of spiritual, religious aspects in their life. However, Akaltya. Oh. So, okay, can I continue? Okay. Professional social workers working with older person in communities must acknowledge and give due emphasis on the role of spiritual, religious aspects in their life. However, their material well-being need not be overlooked. And efforts of promoting the material and spiritual well-being of older person must be combined. The findings of this study highlighted that socioeconomic condition is low, and therefore it is important to create opportunities for employment and livelihood, especially for those older persons who have crossed the age of 60 years, but who have already crossed the retirement age, but are still physically active and who do not have proper income. The fourth suggestion is that professional social workers in Mizoram need to advocate for provisions of pension and social security of older person. National policy for older person was formulated by the government of India. It was revised as national policy on senior citizens in 2011. But this has not been properly implemented in Mizoram till today. So, yeah. So the national policy for older persons, which is now called National Policy for Senior Citizens, this has not been properly implemented till date. And many of the respondents reported that they feel lonely at home. So when they meet at the MOP house with the fellow older members, it decreases their loneliness, and it's a good place for them to socialize apart from the church. So it also provides a safe environment where older person can hang out and socialize with other older persons. Therefore, better facilities in each of the MOP units, the MOP house should be encouraged, and conducting more recreational activities should also be encouraged. And in terms of health, old age comes with a lot of ailments and diseases, and the same has been reported by the respondents also. However, healthcare facilities are very poor in the rural areas. In the urban areas, it's not up to the mark, but as compared to rural areas, the healthcare facilities are much better in the rural areas, in the urban areas, I mean. So it is important for the state government to ensure that there are better healthcare facilities and medical services in each of the villages in the rural areas. And rather than encouraging old age homes, a proper daycare center for older person, which is looked after by a professional social worker, may be established in the urban areas, as well as in the villages also, because this will allow them to hang out with their older person, with their fellow older person during daytime, and during nighttime, they can still be with their family. So they won't be taken away from their family. They can do both at the same time. So instead of putting them in old age homes, it would have been better if there is a proper daycare center for older person. So, it is very important for the older person to live with their family and their loved ones, because they are at the last stage of their life cycle. So instead of taking them away from their family, this would have been a better option. And it can be seen from the findings of the study of the study, that helping their families by doing chores in the house, spending time together at home, conducting family prayers, the self-reported reports which we get from the respondents also highlights all those things that they value so much. They value their family, they value the time they spend with their family. So a daycare center would be encouraged, and for the Mizo society. So that's about it. That's all I can present for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for making your presentation. And I will take much time now. I will request our examiners to raise queries or let him take his time based on what the lecturers means presentation. Now, please take your time.
Professor Sanjay Rai, please.
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
One minute.
It was
One minute. Now, better.
hello. Hello.
Now you can, please. One by one.
Hello.
Give him seat.
Yes.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You are audible.
Right. It was a very wonderful presentation by Jennifer. I have a couple of observation about this presentation.
I can't hear.
Can you hear?
Morning.
Is the morning day?
Otherwise, you come here.
Hello. Hello. Can you
Yes,
hear?
sir. Yes, sir.
Can you hear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Jennifer, it was a very nice presentation, though it was very lengthy. I have a couple of observation about your presentation. If I see the thesis presentation from philosophical perspective, it was wonderful, no doubt. But I have a little bit reservation about some social perspective. So I found somewhere missing from social perspective in your research presentation.
Sir, can you please wait for 1 second?
Can
There's an echo in your voice. I can barely hear.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We're able to hear. Come here.
Commute.
Hello.
1 minute, she is coming.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay, very good. See, if I see your whole research from philosophical perspective, it is no doubt it's wonderful research you have done. But as a sociologue educator, if I see your research, there are some drawback in your research from sociologue perspective, a little bit. What I feel. So I'll ask some questions so that you can confront, you can reply of that question. One is your findings already you have talked about. So very first, can you tell me, did you do your research from both rural and urban? I have found it is rural and urban. So did you try to correlate your research from uh, rural and urban area? So did you try to
Yes, sir.
correlate?
Yes, sir. There are too many tables, but it's there. It's there in my research. Yes.
So there is a
How they-
correlation between rural and urban area.
Yes, sir. We have done a correlation on rural and urban.
So for
Just taking
that, what methodology you have used? So for that correlation, what methodology you have used?
The t-test has been used for the correlation.
Okay. So can you tell me what are the relationships social work, religion,
Hello?
and the older person?
Sir, your voice is not audible.
Hello? Can you tell me that what are the relationship between social work, religion, religiosity, and older person when you talk about their life satisfaction or esteem, self-esteem of elderly? So, are there any relationship between social work and religiosity? Have you
Yes,
find
sir.
anything on what are
Yes,
that?
sir. The social work itself, the foundation of social work itself is on religion, is based on religion. So when see, it's not enough to. I mean, when we integrate religion, when we work with the older people, when we integrate religion with social work practice, it makes it gives a better result. It has more. It is more efficient. It has more effect. Uh, it has more. A better results.
So you're talking about that old social work before 1936, or you're talking about the professional social work when you talk
Professional
about the
social work,
so
professional social
professional.
work, because even there are many researchers who have also proved that the religion plays a very important role, and the Social Work Council in 2001 has also said that it is very important to include religion for professional social workers to include when working with any type of people, not only just older person, but it's more important for older person to.
So whatever you just said. So are there anything incorporated all these thing in your research? Do you
Yes,
have any
sir.
object?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any objectives on that perspective?
See, the higher the religiosity of the older person, the higher the life satisfaction. Because social work itself, when we work with other people, the main aim is to improve the well-being of the people. So, the higher the religiosity, the higher is the well-being.
So any hello.
Yes, sir.
How did you operationalize the term religion and religiosity or spirituality in your research? I'm not talking about the literature review or somebody has given some definition. What is your operational definition? How did you operationalize those terms, religion, religiosity, spirituality, in your research?
See, scales, not dimensions.
If
Like I have mentioned before, we have, yeah, sir, we have developed a new scale, a religiosity scale, and there are 5 dimensions that focuses on the religiosity: religious beliefs, religious values, participation in religious activities, the religious behavior, and spiritual commitment. So during my presentation, I have also mentioned that those we have created those scales to because the Mizoram is very different as compared to other parts of the world. So the existing religiosity scale is not enough to measure their religiosity. So in order to properly measure the level of religiosity, we have created a new scale, and it is found to be very reliable.
Yeah, Jennifer, can you satisfy me from your answer? Do you think an education, family structure, and religiosity, spirituality, it has a correlation? What I want to mean is, do you think that education and family structure leads the social satisfaction or life satisfaction to elderly? If it is yes, then how?
See, that
You,
is not in my objective, but however, I do find that there can somehow be a relation, because the reason is, when there's a higher education, it lands them to higher jobs, higher salary, and then when a person has higher salary, he has better health, he has enough money to take care of his medical health, and in turn, when older person who can have a better health, they can participate in the religious activities in the church, because in the Mizo society, at participation in religious activities, it has a lot of meaning, and we give a high you know
Regard for it.
high regards in our society.
so I have another couple of questions. What are the
Hmm.
challenges in your study you had? Challenges? Any challenges did you find?
Studies.
Limitation
In the
already you
study.
talked about. So what are the challenges from whole? If I ask you from whole
Challenges
research,
that I
like four,
find, yeah, some of the
five
challenges that I
challenges
find.
you find.
Okay. Uh, Yeah, the way they measure life experience, the way the meso older person measure life experience, life satisfaction, is not same with how the rest of the older population in other parts of the world, measure their life satisfaction. That's quite a big challenge. Because since the Mizo society is very religious, everything is taken in terms of religion. So even life satisfaction, they measure it in terms of that. And when I ask them
I'm
for life
asking
satisfaction,
Jennifer.
well, it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge, because when we read literature, and the responses that the other respondents in other parts of the world give, and when I compare it with what I have found from my research, it's very different, because the way they interpret it is very different. So, like I said before, they feel that they interpret it as something very worldly, something which is very temporary, something which they can, something which they can enjoy only during this lifetime. So, their interpretation of life satisfaction, because the main focus is of my research is on life satisfaction, and so their interpretation is very very different. So that is
So
quite a big challenge.
so last question, Jennifer.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
as we are a social work educator, right? Social work educator.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, what are the new thing, something new from your research for our social work pedagogy? If I ask you, what is the new, in terms of literature, in terms of something new, some model, some theory for social work pedagogy. So, what is new from your research for social work?
See, the scales which I have created, it's found to be very reliable and has a good, feedback. So those can be used for further social work research also. Uh, Apart from that,
Case for group work, anything? Anything
Are
case
there
for group?
any social work method can be intervened in those areas? Are there any theories of social work can be incorporated or can be linked to those areas? Social work. What are the social work? How social work can work on this area? So
sir,
because
I don't quite get. Yeah, I
Jennifer.
don't quite get.
Uh,
Yeah.
See, Jennifer, one thing is
So
research
we can
means.
also use group work also, sir. We can also use group work.
See,
Hmm.
Jennifer. research PhD. There is a noise from your side. See, Jennifer, PhD, research PhD means it's a huge task for a research scholar, right? To find out
Yes, sir.
something new from for the profession, right? For our social
Yes, sir.
pedagogy. So anybody can, layman will ask you, what are the new thing area you have developed from your research? So this is everybody can expect from a researcher. So what is a new thing? Research something new, find out invent or discover something new. So from your research you must have something new theory or some model or some kind of mm, methods, or you said you have developed one scale. So like that you should also have some kind of methods or model through your research. Then it will be helpful for a social work, for future social work perspective, future social work scholar, right? So every
Yes.
research finding must have some new thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Everybody knows that if you have money, if you have plenty of money, your life satisfaction will be higher, right? If you're
Yes.
educated, your life satisfaction will be higher. So what the new thing from your research are you getting? So
Yes, sir.
that
Apart from the
that
skills.
that area somewhere I found a little bit lacking. And lastly, I'll have a suggestion. You have given
Sir.
some suggestion, right?
Sir.
Usually we don't write suggestion. We write recommendation for
Oh,
future
okay. I'll
research.
change that. Change that. Yes,
So that
sir.
you can change, right? We don't
Yes,
write
sir.
suggestion. We
That.
say
Yes.
yeah, recommendation for future researcher, right?
Uh-huh.
So thank you, Jennifer. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
From my
That
part,
was a very valuable feedback. Yes, sir.
thank you from my part. I think it is enough. I'll get back to hand over to Professor Kanagaraj.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Sit here, sit here. Don't go. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Rai. Actually, we can take up the questions from other participants also.
Yes, yes.
We can take questions from the other examiners. Yeah. So come. Please, Jennifer.
Yes, sir.
Tell her
Come with
still it is not
questions.
ended.
Yeah. So some more questions are there. Please reflect on the questions.
I have to read out.
Yeah, read.
Okay, the first question is, what are the associated issues that motivate you to take up this research work? Number two is, what is the size of the universe of your research work? Number three is, could you consider it as a mixed method research? Number four is there any scope of use this research findings for social work education? What follow-up activities have you planned to carry forward the present research outcome?
Yeah. Now tell me. First question is what motivated you to take up this research project?
The study on religiosity is in an exploratory.
Basically,
There are
Jennifer,
no.
the first
Yes, sir.
first question means your rationale of the study. Why did you take up this study? Rationale. Yeah, tell.
Yeah, the reason why I take up this study is because no studies has been done yet on this particular field, especially with regards to in relation to social work, religiosity, life satisfaction, and how that has impacted the lives of the older person. No studies has been done in that field. So we often talk about the importance and how important it is in the life of older person, but there's no document, no research has been done yet. So I feel that it's very important, and I have a lot of interest in this field. So that is why I take up that this research.
And second question already you answered. Second question already you answered during your presentation. Universe.
Sorry,
already
answered in the presentation, yes. And third question also is already answered. We use mixed method research, sir. So fourth question is,
Education. How will you use? Yes, work group.
See, the research through the findings of this research, they can also conduct casework, case studies, group work, focus group discussion. We can all use that in social work education. Casework, group work will be the most important. The fifth one is, what follow-up activities have you planned to carry forward the present research outcome? Yeah, we can follow it up by organizing a group work also. And instead of just in my research, I have done key informant interviews, but that is not enough. So if we can conduct a group work, through that they themselves can, discuss it with their the fellow older members, and then it will probably give better information, better highlight on what their problems are, and how they cope with it. So I think we can get better results. So that is all I can answer.
Next, any other examiner has asked any questions?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I think that's about the questions.
Come here. So, Sir Devendran, sir, please share your comments.
So first and foremost, I would like to appreciate both the supervisor and the scholar for this wonderful work, and it's a wonderful contribution in terms of for a gerontology social work. It was the scholar has presented very extensively. I hope so. It is one of the longest presentation I could say. Almost 1 hour, I suppose. I was looking at the watch, since it's a interesting topic and very concerned to the old age people, I mean old age person. It is really need of the hour during this COVID-19, I could say. And this in that particular way, I appreciate the scholar. It is a wonderful contribution because in terms of religiosity and spirituality, so here the findings are quite interesting. We have a perception that always the old age people or older persons, they have their own inclination towards religion. But here in terms of measuring the concepts or dimensions, it shows that the participation is high, but in terms of spirituality, in terms of belief, values are all not that much satisfactory, which shows that something lacking in their life satisfaction. As a overall, the satisfaction is good. And in terms of, for me, it is a wonderful, systematic and extensively presented and a wonderful contribution in terms of understanding the old age person in terms of Northeastern context. So far, the study is meant only for the Christian population of Mizoram. Why not we can test the same scale for further other parts of the country where the population is Christian population. In terms of there, we can test and validate the scale for a larger population. In that way, it will be more you in future. For your publication aspect, you can think it over. And for me, one of the important concepts, whether in the life satisfaction, whether they have given the thrust for recreation, leisure and recreation, I'm not sure about it, what are the dimensions are taken. But in the qualitative aspects you have covered when your presentation, I was listening to it. But because see, old age people not only going to the churches, apart from that, they need more their own friends to share in one particular common place. You said that daycare centers, that's all. good enough. At the same time, like community hall or a park type, here in the topography is entirely different. But anyhow, in a community, each and every community, they have their own football recreation grounds. Why not for the old age senior citizens? They should have their own park life, nature type of thing could be developed in that particular place. They can go and spend, rather than through nature also they can have a spirituality. That is my way of understanding. Not only in the four walls sitting inside, no. Through seeing the nature, that context it can be seen. So this is my suggestions, and then apart from that, the examiner rightly pointed out, conclusion is enough, no need suggestions. In the conclusion part, automatically suggestions will come there, and recommendations rightly pointed out. Policy, what are the policy recommendations you are giving for the context of a Mizo perspective? In that way it would be better. So question wise, no, these are all my comments. Wonderful work. I appreciate, and it's a long dream has come true today. I appreciate, and it's really divine blessings for you from all the sides. And I also, it is a nice platform to meet the examiner as well in this particular Viva Voce examination. Thank you once again. I congratulate sir is always now more than one decade. I mean, more dozen of PhD scholars he is going to produce now. And that way, I should appreciate. It is really a great inspiration for all the faculty members here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Devendran. We have always been working. When I tell concluding remark, I tell now. I request Dr. Elizabeth, our colleague in the department, to share her comments and questions also.
Okay. So, very good afternoon, Dr. Sanjay Roy. And then it's an opportunity for us to be to have you as an examiner in Jennifer's Viva Voce. So her topic is on elderly. It's quite interesting on life satisfaction and all. So I think so. The Mizo society itself is a Christian, which is very religious based. Therefore, the existing skills is not enough to measure it, and they kind of develop in addition to existing cells to measure the life satisfaction of elderly in Mizoram. And second thing is we can use those social work generic methods like casework, group work. Also we can use it. I feel that because Helpage India and also Helpage India also use it that group work method. No, they use as a model in the recreational center. And also we have MOP in, which means that elderly house. No, in almost in every locality in Mizoram. So we can utilize that MOP in for conducting the recreational services. And then casework is also applicable, I feel, so that because many elderly are having psychosocial related issues which makes them not able to have life satisfaction at the age of their retirement. So I feel that we can use a casework method to tackle those problems also, and then we can go for research also. Then administration in every of the say it is quite contemporary and useful. The social work methods, all the methods are quite contemporary and useful in the area of research in elderly in Mizoram. I feel in that way. And then the other part is that, like some say many of your comments and questions are quite valid to have a further research in this area also. So then sorry sir, I congratulate even the supervisor and supervising, and I thank you to the examiner. Thank you, sir.
So good. We will see.
So Professor, should I announce Elizabeth as Dr. Elizabeth?
As per our university norms, there is no announcement as far as we will recommend that and tell that there is no announcement formally, no declaring and all, not allowed in the university. So you have given me
all the best from my side.
Yes. Now some questions I will take from the public. Jennifer, you be ready? Any questions? Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations are coming. Yeah. Yeah. So congrats only are coming. Lily, you want to ask any question? Where is he?
In the Q&A box.
No, it's not coming.
What are the factors added in case studies apart from quantitative data?
Please see. Appreciated your immense effort. What are the factors added in case studies apart from quantitative data? You are about your case study. What are the information you have collected?
Hi, Hari. I don't exactly get the question. Apart from the quantitative data, we have done a case study and three informal
Included in
interviews.
case studies.
The qualitative information. He's asking about the findings.
Qualitative information.
He mentioned quantitative data. He
In case
mentioned
studies,
about
what
the
are
case
the
study. So
included?
In case studies, what are the
Themes, you tell.
included? Themes. Okay.
okay, it basically focus on the physical health, where they have reported that their health conditions are very low, and then there's no proper medical facilities, which most of them in the rural areas have reported, and they themselves have a feeling of loneliness, and they use religiosity to cope with all the hardships that they face in life. So they don't want to be a burden for the family, as they don't have any income anymore. They try to be as helpful as possible. They help the family members by doing chores and engaging themselves in piggery and poultry and all that. And to socialize, they use the church. It's not only for socializing, but when they attend church service, it gives them peace by listening to the sermons, by singing gospel hymns together with other church members, and also it gives them a sense of belongingness. So those are the findings which I have highlighted in the case studies.
Okay, congratulations are coming. So, actually, I think we can conclude.
Yeah. Actually, in our department, from the beginning, we have been working on studies on well-being, particularly in Department of Social Work, Mizoram University. We have been concentrating on well-being, both subjective well-being and objective well-being, because social work, we have realized that social work is promoting the well-being, and promoting well-being is the ultimate goal of social work. So subjective well-being area, particularly Kalpana Sarathi has started it. The first scholar of Dr. Kalpana Sarathi, Professor Kalpana Sarathi, who is there in TASS Guwahati Regional Center as Deputy Director. She has started her first scholar, Lal Muan Pui, has done on life satisfaction of older persons, and then quality of life of older persons, life satisfaction also she has covered. So that tradition she continued, schizophrenics, life satisfaction, quality of life of schizophrenics, quality of life of persons living with HIV, quality of life of the persons with cancer. So many studies she continued that. I since I am from economics background, I have been working on the objective aspects of well-being, particularly living conditions, livelihood. Most of our studies are my studies, my scholars with me, they have worked on livelihood studies. This one actually Dr. Ms Jennifer has been transferred from Professor J. Singh. Originally, she was registered under, we should remember Professor Jay Singh now, who is no more. He actually initiated, because he was a doctor of divinity also. So he encouraged Ms Jennifer to work on religion, religiosity in the context of Mizoram. So that work, because of his sad demise in the middle of her PhD research career, so she was transferred to me. So then we started working on a lot of hardships she has faced during the course of the thing. But this, though I am from an economics background and have objective aspects of life, quality of life or well-being, I do consider the subjective aspect of well-being is very important. So this particular study is focusing on religion, though there are people who registered her afterwards. There are some scholars in the Department of Social Work who have submitted already their thesis, Vanlal Sriyati, Recovery Capital and Faith-Based Interventions and Recovery Capital in Mizoram context, where she has found that faith-based interventions along with secular interventions are working in the drug addiction challenge. To address the drug addiction challenge, recovery, to promote recovery capital, the faith-based interventions are working in the context of Mizoram. There was another study by intervention study, experimental studies by Rameng Moni Rentle. There also we found in many aspects of cancer patients' life, the spiritual intervention that is practiced in Mizoram also contributing, not only social work intervention. So Jennifer's study also in that line. Another study we did in Meghalaya. One of my scholars did on macro level faith-based organizations and community development. There also we found a significant role played by religion. So though many of you are aware that I am very deeply interested in, I have deep commitment to religious and spiritual aspects of life. And I was very comfortable when I come across the findings, when we learned from this. It was a very wonderful experience of learning from the people. And as such, globally also there is a tendency, our societies, whether we talk in Mizoram or India as a whole, our societies have not become secular. Please remember. So scholars who are saying that secular social work is secular should know that social work originated in Christian charity, case work originated in Christian charity, group work originated in YMCA and YWCA activities, and even settlement house movement was very much Christian, which was the source of community work. And though later they have gone for a secular mode, much of the social workers in the world today are employed in faith-based organizations, and even in the so-called secular societies of America also, there are scholars, thinkers emphasizing on use of religion. Yes, professional social work is against imposition of religion, imposition of ideology, or anything that is we don't want to be imposed on people. But when clients are very comfortable with religion, definitely we can use religion also, the religious resources as well as religious strengths, so that the client will be in a state of well-being. So this study, in my, I'm very happy to see that, it's very much contributing. It's not per se the commitment or beliefs or values. It is that engagement with religion that matters, and people are using religion to cope with their problems. If at all, they are provided more opportunities to participate and do activities at home through group work and case work intervention, you can say that even community work intervention to get more services for the elderly, advocacy also to get more services, along with your recreation and group activities, we can bring in their own religious aspects also, religious activities also in group work. So that is what the direction of the particular study here done is showing. And again, no imposition, no imposition of any religion or religious beliefs on the clientele. If a person is atheist, let him follow that only secular interventions. So there is much, and all over, as a person who is very much interested in indigenization or Indianization, specifically Bharatiyakarana of social work, when we go across the world and see all the indigenous movements of the world, everywhere you could see spirituality is the main aspect of the life of the people, but especially indigenous people when it comes. So India is no exception to that. Northeast India is no exception to that. Mizoram is also no exception to that. Blind adherence to secularism is no way helpful, and using spiritual resources are very important. We need bio, psycho, social, spiritual model that is very much recognized not only in social work, even in healthcare also. Mental health professionals also recognize the role of spirituality. So let us use our own strengths and resources. With that, I conclude this conclusion, and then I thank Professor Rohlupuii, the Dean, School of Social Sciences, who have come here and conducted this session. And I thank our Dr. Sanjay Roy from Delhi School of Social Work. I could have introduced him, because Dean introduced him. I could not intervene there. So Dr. Roy, Sanjay Roy is an examiner for many of our scholars here. And, he is very good friend to our department, especially, Dr. Devendran, Professor Devendran and me. He was there very much in Assam University for a long time. So we know, and whatever we know also, he was very examiner as a professional, in a professional sense, he has conducted exam. I thank Dr. Roy for having come here and conducted this examination in a very professional and systematic way. I thank my professor, my colleague, Dr. Devendran, whose presence has added much value to this session, this PhD Public Viva Voce Examination. I thank my colleagues, Dr. Henry, Dr. Elizabeth, Dr. Laleng Zama, and my scholars who are watching online. Many are watching online. Our John, PhD scholar John and Lily are watching with us here. I thank all of you. So let us promote social work. What we need is that social work should have concrete interventions. Social work should show real effect. Social work should contribute to the change in the individual, community, household, every level. We should show. Still, I feel we need to demonstrate our success in working with the people. And there, to do that, we need to understand the cultural context and look at the life as a whole. In that, religion and spirituality are very, very important. By discounting religion and spirituality from social work intervention or social work study, we can't do any justice. We will be lagging behind only. That's what my conclusion of the day today. Thank you, one and all. Vande Mataram. Kalome.
Thank you, sir.